Hello friends, we are back again with yet another poem from CBSE Standard 12th. That is Aunt Jennifer's Tigers, and that is my personally favorite poem from that particular section. So before we go ahead, let us talk about our poet Adrienne Rich. She is from Baltimore, Maryland, a state in United States of America. Usually she writes against racism or militarism. Militarism in the sense she applies that resistance to having military in the country. Indirectly, she supports peace. She talks against racism. In this particular poem, she talks about the constraints, means limitations of married life a woman experiences. That means after getting married, what sort of limitations a woman experiences, she talks about that. In this particular poem also, Aunt Jennifer's Tigers, our main character, protagonist, Aunt Jennifer, what are the limitations she has been experiencing throughout her life, and does that carry till the last phase of her life? We'll see in this particular poem. It has got 12 lines, 3 stanzas, but this is very crucial as far as your examination is concerned because every stanza has got 3-4 figures of speeches. So without wasting much of the time, let us directly go for the poem. So Aunt Jennifer's Tigers prance across the screen. Here Aunt Jennifer's Tigers, in the sense she doesn't have pet tigers. She has embroidered tigers on the panel on the screen using that ivory needle wool, and the image of the tigers she has embroidered on that particular panel is of prancing fearlessly. The tigers are prancing, tigers are jumping as if they are hunting fearlessly. That kind of image she has embroidered on the screen, on the panel. Now, Aunt Jennifer's Tigers prance across the screen. Image of tigers jumping, prancing has been embroidered by Aunt Jennifer on the screen. How do they look? They look like bright topaz. What is a topaz? Topaz is a gemstone. Usually it is of multiple colors, but here this particular word topaz is used to describe the tigers. So we'll go with this particular yellow colored gemstone. So tigers are directly compared with this particular gemstone called topaz, bright topaz. That's why when tigers and topaz are directly compared without using as or like, the figure of speech here is metaphor. So these particular tigers embroidered by Aunt Jennifer are bright yellow in color, and they look like they are denizens. Denizens in the sense natives. Natives of what? World of green. World of green in the sense forest. They are very dominant in their area. You cannot go in their area. Right? So they are very fearless. They are very fearless in their particular area. They are denizens, natives of the forest. And how do they look? They look like bright gemstone, that is topaz. So bright topaz particularly is the metaphoric language used by Adrienne Rich. Now, they do not fear the men beneath the tree. Who is they here? Tigers. And who is not afraid of the men beneath the tree? Tigers are not afraid of the men beneath the tree. Here, these particular men, what are they doing beneath the tree? They are waiting for the tigers to hunt. But are they afraid of anybody? No. Rather, they pace, tigers pace, they move in slick, chivalric certainty. And when they move, they look very slick, very elegant, very attractive. Here, chivalric in the sense they look so brave. Here, certainty in the sense they look so confident. So even though the danger is waiting beneath the tree for them to be hunted down, the tigers are unafraid, tigers are fearless, they move in their denizens, they move in their world of green, the dominant world of green, very bravely and very confidently. And when they move in a brave and confident manner, they look so sleek, attractive, elegant. So this is all about the first stanza. Now let us talk about the figures of speeches of this particular first stanza. First, tigers are directly compared to the bright gemstone, yellow colored gemstone, that is topaz. So it is metaphor, word of green. If words are described in such a way that an image is formed in front of our eyes, so the figure of speech used here is imagery. So description of the what you can say things in such a way that image is formed in front of your eyes. So the figure of speech here is imagery. So when I say keyword of green, suddenly the image of forest comes in front of our eyes. That's why the figure of speech is imagery. Now another one, see, third and fourth lines beginning is with the same word. So whenever lines begin with the same word, the figure of speech here in the third and fourth line is anaphora. Anaphora. So when sentences begin with the same words, here the sentences are beginning with the same word they, the figure of speech is anaphora. You can say now, slick, shiverlick, certainty. Sir. The repetition of the consonant sound sir is there. So you can go for the figure of speech, you better know, that is alliteration. So metaphor, imagery, alliteration. So these are the figure of speeches, and one more, that is anaphora. These are the four figures of speeches you will find in the first stanza. I hope you have understood it. Now go for the second one. Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool. First talk about the figure of speeches. Fingers fluttering, the repetition of the sound f, that is alliteration for you. So Aunt Jennifer's fingers. Now imagine there is a screen, there is a panel. So using the ivory needle, ivory in the sense that elephant's tusk is there, using that a needle is made, so that woolen. So while embroidering tigers on the panel, you have to put that particular needle through that panel, and you have to pull it back also. So it is quite hard to pull it out. It requires some strength. But for Aunt Jennifer's, fingers are shivering, fingers are fluttering while pulling that ivory needle out of that particular screen. What does it say? Aunt Jennifer's fingers flutter through her wool, finds even the ivory needle hard to pull. So while what you can say weaving or embroidering the tigers, she is finding that ivory needle hard to pull. She doesn't have that energy. Why? The question arises, and the answer lies here. See, why she finds it hard to pull out that ivory needle? The answer is the massive weight of uncle's wedding band. What is wedding band? The ring. That is the symbol that she got married to uncle, right? So the massive weight of uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. Now let's go for literal meaning. The massive weight of uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. Is the weight of that ring so massive that because of which she finds it very hard to pull that particular needle? So it talks about the exaggeration. So whenever such exaggeration is there, so hyperbole is the figure of speech we have used here. So Adrian teachers used. So something exaggerating because of that ring. She is not able to pull that particular needle out of the panel. It is not practically possible. The weight of the ring is not that massive. But this is the literal meaning. The figure of speech here, the massive weight, that is hyperbole. Exaggeration is there. Okay, fingers fluttering, alliteration is there. But as I said, every poem has two meanings. One is innate, another one is literal. So the literal meaning, because of the massive weight of uncle's wedding band, she couldn't pull that needle out. Literal. But the innate meaning, which is important, is the massive weight in the sense, the limitations, constraints of her married life Aunt Jennifer has been experiencing. Because of those responsibilities, because of those limitations, it has been hard for Aunt Jennifer to show her strength for each and every task she has been performing in her life. The reason is her marriage with uncle. Right? So in this particular stanza, there are two figures of speeches. One is fingers fluttering, alliteration. The massive weight, that is hyperbole, because exaggeration is there. Now, the last stanza. When aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie. First of all, terrified hands. Getting terrified is an attribute of human beings. Getting afraid is an attribute of human beings. Right? Now, hands don't get terrified. So, this human attribute, getting terrified, is given to the inanimate object hand. So, terrified hands, the figure of speech is personification, as you know. Now, when aunt is dead, now throughout her life, she has been living a very vulnerable, weak, victim sort of life, okay, after her marriage. But when she is dead, her hands will still still have that ring, which is a symbol of marriage. Let me read it for you. When aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with the ordeals she was mastered by. Now let us talk about some tough words. First one, still ringed. Even if she is dead, she is still ringed with the ordeals. She is still geared with the ordeals. Here, this particular word ring has got two meanings. First, ring is used as a verb, that ring is geared. And the second ring is the limitations, the responsibilities she has been always exposed to in her marriage. So even after her death, she has to follow, or till her death, she is geared by, ringed by all those responsibilities, all those ordeals, all those tough situations. Ordeals, tough situations she was mastered by because of her marriage. So when aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with the ordeals she was mastered by. Here ring, word one, but two different meanings. So whenever one word gives two different meanings, one is it is used as a verb also, and another is it is used as the constraints or limitations the Aunt Jennifer is geared by. That's why one word with two different meanings. Here ringed is the figure of speech it shows is pun, P-U-N. You might have heard it is pun intended. Okay, so one word with two different meanings. This is pun for you. Ringed is pun, terrified hand is personification. Now, so though after her death she still carries the burden of marriage, the tigers in the panel, the tigers on the screen she has embroidered, that she made, will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. The whole life, now see, this is a bit ironic, the whole life she has been living a very fearful, threatened, terrified life, and she has embroidered something that is completely opposite of her character. What is that? Tigers, those who are fearless. Even though there are hunters, they are not afraid. In their denizen, in their area, they are brave, proud, unafraid, fearless, unlike Aunt Jennifer. So the people, those who dream to live a fearless life, why do they dream? Because they lack that particular style of living. That's why the whole poem is ironic, as Aunt Jennifer always wanted to live a fearless life like tiger. So she embroidered the tigers on her panel. But even after her death, she has to follow those rituals, whatever ordeal she was mastered by. And even after her death, whatever life she has lived, that is vulnerable. But the tigers she has made on the panel will always keep on fearlessly prancing. They will be proud of themselves. They will be unafraid. Now, ringed is pun, terrified hands is personification, and look at that, prancing, proud, repetition of purpose, this particular consonant sound in the beginning of the words, that is alliteration for you. So if you observe in every stanza, there are figures of speech. For example, now see word of green imagery, bright topaz, tigers are directly compared to the topaz, that is metaphor. Then they, beginning of the sentence, that is anaphora. Now main beneath the tree, you can form an image in your head, that is imagery for you. Now sleek, shiverlic certainty, repetition of sir consonant sound, that is alliteration. Fingers fluttering, alliteration. The massive weight, hyperbole, that is exaggeration, the weight cannot be that massive. Now terrified hands, personification. Ringed is pun, two different meanings. Prancing, proud, that is alliteration. So though poem looks simple, it has got multiple figures of speeches. Plus one more thing, if you observe the last words, screen, green, tree, tea, wool, pull, band, hand, lie, buy, made, unafraid. So the last words, sound of the first two lines go same. So it has got the rhyme scheme. Unlike the first two poems, My Mother at 66 and Pablo Neruda's Keeping Quiet, those are free verses. It doesn't have rhyme scheme, but this particular poem has got the rhyme scheme. So A, B, B. If asked in the examination, the rhyme scheme of this particular poem is A, B, B. That is all about the poem. I hope you have understood it. Thank you.